Claiborne's Court, where we have decided that you must cook at least one turkey before you bring a tree into your home this season. On the docket today, a clear choice for the future. We have two options, and they're both good. Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, which is the best running back for the remainder of the 2024 season? Let's meet our legal representation for the day. First up is lawyer Adam Rank, representing Derrick Henry today. One of the most well-known legal names in Southern California. Billboards featured all over from the OC to the Valley. No longer, though, running ads on The Challenge, a local postgame show that has since changed its format. Then there's Marcus Grant, a brilliant legal mind that invented the term Saquonaissance, as well as Legal Vroom, an AI lawyer that takes the form of Lightning McQueen to offer advice on litigation. He believes that Saquon is the RB1. Marcus, Adam, it's time to have this discussion. You go first, Counselor Grant. Gavel time! Make your case.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now look here, I have nothing against Derrick Henry. My esteemed colleague here is going to make a case for Mr. Henry to be the RB1, and that's a wonderful, wonderful argument. But I will tell you, Your Honor, that while Derrick Henry is excellent at running the football, he tends to be a little bit more one-dimensional in the course of his respective offenses. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley, a little bit of everything. We know he can run the ball effectively. We know he can catch the football effectively. We also know, Your Honor, that he is an expert at causing insomnia. Just go and ask John Mara, who has not had a good night of sleep since Saquon signed that deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. I would also throw in the fact, Your Honor, that he does have a very good schedule. He gets to see a woebegone Dallas Cowboys defense twice, including in championship week, by which point the Cowboys season could be effectively over, and a bad defense has very little reason to continue to play hard.
An interesting case made for a good player. Another case to be made for another good player. Counselor Rank.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, it's interesting to me that when we sit here and we talk about Derrick Henry, we think about one of the most explosive players in the NFL, and yet he's still overlooked. Even you yourself yesterday, when we were trying to do a segment on the ones, we took Derrick Henry for granted. Wouldn't even talk about him because he is so good. I would like to make one clarification about the fact that Derrick Henry might be considered a one-dimensional player. Is he this kind of person that does the leaping over backwards type of moves, that are the kind of things that would make somebody rage quit a game of Madden? Maybe, maybe not. But for somebody who is one-dimensional, I find it highly interesting that he still has the most fantasy points of any non-quarterback, showing that he doesn't need to go out there and catch touchdown passes because he can do it all. He has 10 straight games with a touchdown this season. He is averaging over 6 yards per carry. There is no other choice but to select Derrick Henry as the RB1 this season.
All right, Mr. Grant, your thoughts?
Your Honor, my client hurdled a man backwards. I rest my case.
Mr. Rankin,
again, well, you know what? That's interesting because I was looking over my fantasy scoring right now. Kendall, double check this for me. Do we get points for that? We do not. And while it's cool, and I'll watch it on YouTube, and I'll enjoy it later, you know what I enjoy more? A guy who bowls over defenses. You want to talk about schedules? The next 8 opponents for the Baltimore Ravens have given up, on average, 90 rushing yards per game. The weather in Baltimore is getting colder. You talk about keeping people up at night. What is more frightening than thinking about being out there in the 30-degree Fahrenheit weather, having Derrick Henry running straight at you, and you having to make a business decision? To me, there is no argument. I love Saquon Barkley. He is a wonderful player. But when we're talking about the Duke, number one, it is Derrick Henry.
Both fantastic cases made for fantastic football players, but the court is going to decide in the favor of the guy who scores the most touchdowns. I rule in favor of Adam Rank because Derrick Henry does one thing: get the ball in the paint, and he can do so for any number of reasons. And yes, while his quarterback could tend to run into the end zone, the other player's quarterback, Saquon Barkley, does turn to go into the end zone a little bit more. So gavel time! Rank wins here on NFL
Thank you.
Fantasy Live. You are welcome, our counsel.